When it comes to selling your movie to get people to buy tickets, Weapons did a fantastic job with its trailer, really giving you an idea of what to expect, but it doesn't exactly follow through on its promise. At my screening of Weapons, I saw something quite rare, as some people left the film halfway through and didn't return, while others applauded the movie when the credits started to roll. So a real difference of opinion amongst my audience. And so even though there are many positive reviews for the film, why have some people left the cinema disappointed? Well, the marketing for Weapons really got across the synopsis well, with the poster reading, "Last night at 2:17 a.m, every child from Mrs. Gandhi's class woke up, got out of bed, went downstairs, opened the front door, walked into the dark, and never came back." We do learn early on that that's not exactly true, as one kid has remained from Mrs. Gandhi's class, but this being on the poster and also in the trailer means that there are so many questions opened up to you from the get-go. One being, where are these kids? Why did they all go at the same time? And also, why are they all from the same class? So many things open there in your brain, like, okay, I need to find out all these answers. And the film does deliver the answers. But the thing is, the film doesn't go in a way which you'd expect. It does subvert expectations in the way it tells its story, because you'd expect from all its marketing that the mystery will be front and center, but that is not the case. Instead, the mystery is just sort of put there on the side while the film takes its time to really explore the surroundings of this mystery. The very early stages of the film pretty much just repeat what we've learned from the trailer, and so it's not until we get to Justine where the film starts to kick off. We also learn the formula of the film, that it will be split into different chapters following different characters' perspectives. There are 6 chapters in total, the first one being Justine Gandhi, who is the teacher of the class. And so she is very close to this whole mystery and this investigation with the missing children. We see the parents, accusing her of being involved. And Julia Garner plays this role brilliantly. She's a fantastic actress. So this really just falls into what you expect the film to be, a horror film where, it's all sort of leading into what the eventual mystery of the horror is. But then the film goes into some different characters. We then have Josh Brolin, who, again, he is close to it. He's one of the parents of the missing kids. But then we go into some other characters where they're not as connected to the mystery. And so it's like, what's this got to do with anything? And I felt that's where the film really starts to sort of morph into a thriller. At that point, I was like, okay, it's still horror. We've got some jump scares here and there. It's definitely a horror. But now it's moving more into a thriller. And even before that, there were a few moments where my audience were laughing. And that does come back. I was surprised how many times I wasn't really laughing loads, but the audience I was in was laughing a lot. And especially towards the end. I mean, there's a lot of humor here, a lot of dark comedy. And I actually think that trumped the horror. And so really calling this a horror film is false advertising, because it's not. It's a thriller with some extreme horror and some very comedic moments. With that in mind, you can probably understand why some people would feel upset with what they received from this film, that it didn't go full-blown horror. And also, I think the structure would also have turned some people off as well, because having these different chapters is interesting to see the different characters' POVs, but also it means that when we're with one character, we're building up, it gets to a really intense moment, and then suddenly stop, back to square one again, and we start all over again with another character. And so it really is like a roller coaster of a movie. And this has worked before. Other films have done this in the past. I think the most recent one I remember is The Last Duel did it. Even The Simpsons have done it in the past as well. Breakfast! With this direction, it does test your patience, and in a world where attention spans are at an all-time low, that could definitely turn some people off. But this film did have me in its grasp, and that was because with these chapters, there's a good mixture of personalities, and there's time taken to make these characters three-dimensional. And also, as you get through each one, you're learning more about the environment around this place, and if you pay attention, you can pick some things up here and there. And so you feel like you're ahead of the film in that way, but then from a narrative point of view, you're not. And so you're always guessing on that point, and so that does keep you engaged. As I said, this film is split into 6 different chapters, but they can definitely be put into pairs with 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6, all sharing similar goals with what the film's trying to tell you. The whole cast here are very impressive, with a special mention going to Amy Madigan, who put in a superb display for her character. Also, it's great to see Josh Brolin again in a character that was supposed to be for Pedro Pascal originally, but he couldn't do it because of scheduling conflicts, which I think is great news because I think I've had, and I think many others have had, a bit of Pedro Pascal fatigue.
Make it stop!
Also, just to mention, if you are enjoying this video, please do drop it a like and consider subscribing and joining this community to see my videos when they go live. There was a point in the film where I thought to myself, hold on, this is an 18 rated movie. And that's quite rare these days. Many films are rated 15 here, but not 18. It usually takes something quite graphic and extreme to get to the 18 rating. And eventually we got to a moment where I thought to myself, okay, that's why it's 18. And so we do have some quite extreme imagery. And I did enjoy when the film really went into the horror. I was like, yes, this is what I'm here for. I was in that camp where I was like, yes, I want to see a horror film. At the same time, though, I was entertained. I was bloody entertained with this movie. Like, I did enjoy the comedy. Though I thought when it comes to the end of the movie, they should have really went back to horror. Like, the start of the film was all about horror. You got to really bookend it that way. When you're leaving the cinema in a light-hearted manner, it just doesn't really feel satisfying.
What are you waiting for?
I don't know. Something amazing, I guess.
Also, as this is a final act of a horror film, there are quite a few question marks that are raised. Like, for example, why don't they call the police at this moment? Why did they drop a weapon? Why are they being so oblivious to something so obvious? Why is no one sort of questioned why this character's purchasing so much of this item? There's a few things like that where you're like, okay, yeah, it's all sort of starting to unravel a bit here. This is director Zach Cregger's second film after directing Barbarian, which I did enjoy, although it did ruin the song Be My Baby. And it also was part of a bidding war that included Jordan Peele, who was so upset he lost the film that he fired his management team.
I think you are a lost cause in this process. Stephen, you're fired.
I feel like with Zach Cregger, he's starting to build an identity for himself as a director, even with just 2 films. People now seem to understand what he's going to bring to the table. And he's someone who seems to be inspired by many different foundations of horror, whether that be from like Stephen King or from fairy tales. There just seems to be lots of different things mixed in here. He seems to be someone who likes to mix and match. And again, that's not for everyone. That's why I think some people really won't like this movie. But those who do like a bit of a mixture will really cling to this one. Overall, I was thoroughly entertained watching Weapons, and I did enjoy seeing the horror thriller comedy mashup, though I was annoyed when the comedy undercut the horror in specific moments where the horror needed to be at the forefront. But there were some great moments of tension built here. There's a real false sense of comfort throughout the film where you feel like, okay, I need to be on my toes here because I don't know what's around the next corner. But yeah, I enjoyed Weapons, though I don't think it is a masterpiece like some are saying. But what are your thoughts? Did you enjoy Weapons? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to watch another video on screen are a couple of my recent reviews.